This is Nah, but for real.
Nah, but for real, tell me how I feel. We on that fire, tell me what's the deal. Nah, but for real, tell me how I feel. We on that fire.
Did you finish your
tell
thought,
me
or?
what's the
I don't even remember.
Nah, but for real,
All right.
tell me
Well,
what's the deal.
I think that's all I had to say about listening. And I think that was a good listen. I think that was a good little segment. That listening segment. That might change some perspectives with the way I go about how I listen. So
Yeah.
for anything that brings revelation to my own personal growth and our conversations, is just life. So yes, I think that was a good segment, that listening segment. That was a really good conversation. So I want to go into verbal abuse. Why I want to talk about verbal abuse, because we're talking about communication, one, and two,
And we
I
don't
think a
talk
lot of
about it
people
enough.
misconstrue what verbal abuse is. There's so many levels of verbal abuse. It doesn't always have to look like how we think it looks like. Verbal abuse, the first thing people probably think about is like the movie Precious. Did you see the movie Precious?
No.
You didn't? Good. It was very. It was
I
very
cannot do traumatic
evil.
movies. Can't
But
do it.
she was like very very abusive verbally. You know, she told
Yeah.
her she wasn't, that type of thing, where it was just like, you ain't never gonna be nothing, you're ugly, you're this and that. That's like blatant verbal abuse. And like,
Right.
that's like, we can see that, we can touch, taste, smell it. But there is verbal abuse that I feel like people are starting to talk about it. I am seeing conversations about verbal abuse. I don't really think they're calling it verbal abuse. I think they're calling it narcissism. And I don't know what's this big deal about narcissism and things like that. But yeah, so like the very first, so I guess I have manipulation as a way to be a verbal abuser, but there's different kinds of ways that you manipulate. So gaslighting is one of them, and I think that's a common one. That's like a very hot topic right now, this gaslighting thing. And it's basically someone leading you to question your reality. So like an example,
Right.
this used to happen to me all the time, my last relationship, where I present something and they be like, I don't remember doing that. Or nah, I don't think that happened. And it's just like, but it did. I know it did.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's like, it's one of those gray areas, because it's like, did he really not remember? Or was he really just trying to invalidate me having feelings about something? I'm trying to think of any other examples, but that's a form of abuse. That's a form of manipulation. I'm going to try to make it seem like your evidence isn't real, so therefore your feelings can't be real, and therefore I'm not in the wrong, because your evidence isn't real, your feelings isn't real. So this is not even a conversation. I don't even know what we need to talk about. I think I feel like. We'll talk about this narcissistic character, because I think that's one of the traits of being a narcissist.
Definitely.
But I don't think because you gaslight that you're automatically a narcissist. Like, I think for the normal conversations like me and Dave right now, I can be gaslighting all the time and not really technically be a narcissist. You know what I'm saying? Like, not be diagnosed. Because technically, I was a psychology major. In order for you to be any type of mental disorder from the DSM, you need to have a plethora of the symptoms. You don't just, he gaslight, he's a narcissist. That's not narcissism. Narcissism is a plethora of things. It's a combination of things. And on top of that, in order for you to be, this is how I was taught in college. I don't know if this is real or whatever, but in order for you to really be considered having a mental disorder and diagnosed with a mental disorder, it literally has to affect your life in a very negative way. So this whole throwing narcissism on people, and if they're functional human beings and they're not like, having all these different types of negative things happen to them in their life and their daily routine, they probably don't have a mental disorder. So I don't like how we're throwing around these mental disorders when people are just people. Because we talked about that. One of the last classes I took in college around psychology, we talked about the DSM and basically how it's just regular people. It's really just regular people with flaws. You know, it becomes a disorder when it's very detrimental to your lifestyle, where it's like it's killing you, where it's like it's, you know, your behavior is crazy. You know, some of us are just regular people who do bad things. It doesn't mean we have a mental disorder, I guess is what I'm just trying to say. You can be a manipulator, a master manipulator, but doesn't mean you have a mental disorder. Maybe you're not even conscious. Let's go back to the trauma episode. You're not even conscious that you're doing these things. You think you're effective, but really you're not. And that doesn't automatically make you, you know, having a mental disorder. I guess that's all I'm trying to say about that. But I'm trying to think of something else with gaslighting, because gaslighting is just I feel like it's such a normal thing these days, where people are just I feel like even when we say we post a podcast clip and somebody will try so hard to make it seem like what you're saying isn't real, like, you know, just so they can feel like they're doing no wrong. You know what I mean?
They can feel validated. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's just something to discuss in a sense of like, are you a manipulator? Are you trying to manipulate this other person because you don't want to be held accountable and things of that nature? So I don't know. How do you feel about gaslighting? Do you feel like you've experienced it? Do you feel like
absolutely
it's a huge deal?
I've experienced it. I've done it.
I'm trying to think if I've done it. I probably have. I can't think
you
of any
have.
times
You
where I have.
Probably didn't have a name for it.
Yeah.
But
because that's what I'm saying. That's why I was trying to make a point about it, not, you know, us not being so focused on the mental disorders. Let's just focus more so on the fact that it's happening amongst us. Let's try to be intentional about realizing
disorder.
it.
I think it's a character trait where, like, I don't think narcissism is really a mental disorder. I think it's a character trait rather than a mental disorder.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I think with gaslighting, which is a part of narcissism, because a narcissist, I've learned, is someone who is very unaware of themselves and unaware of the reality they create for themselves and other people.
Yeah.
And they're more impressed with the image they built than rather who they really are.
Yeah.
And you love this image you've built more than you love yourself. That's a narcissist.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think with gaslighting, it's more you're creating this false reality.
Yeah.
And someone is trying to tell you what the real reality is.
Or they're showing you.
And
you're still like, yeah, no.
And you still like,
that ain't happening.
That ain't happened for real.
Because they just can't face that.
Yeah.
These are the facts. This is what's real. This is the evidence.
And what it really is you're rejecting the truth of that you contributed to it.
Yeah.
Or you're the foundation of it all.
Yeah.
So I just feel like if you're the type of person who gaslights, you're just afraid of you, the reality of who you are and the reality of your own life.
Yeah.
Because, of course, nobody wants to walk around and be like, I'm the problem.
Yeah.
But you're never going to have healthy relationships with anybody or even with yourself.
Yeah.
If that's how you roll.
Right. And like you said you've done it. You know people that you've experienced it. I feel like we've all done it or do it. But it's just this idea that it's manipulation, it's verbal abuse. And when it comes to abuse, that becomes a domino effect on everything. Like you're teaching verbal abuse. It's going down a lineage of people at that point. And I think that's probably why we have this communication issue amongst our culture and amongst everyone. But,
right.
I like to talk about our culture. But, and I think it's because we're not aware that we're abusing each other. And the fact that we are abusing each other is creating traumatic events, and the traumatic events is creating more traumatic events. And it's just this And the idea is that, do you know you're a verbal abuser? You know, because sometimes, like in this show, I like to say things in a factual way to kind of not be like, well, this is what men do, this is what, just so people can be aware of like, dang, I might have done that, or I think I do that, or why do I do that? You know what I mean? Like, questioning yourself, it's okay. Like, if you've done it before, like everybody don't want to be held accountable. It's hard being held accountable. It's a very tough pillow. It's a very tough pill to swallow. Pillow. Looking at the pillow.
Right.
But, and so, yes, yeah. So the next one I have is an ultimatum. And I'm bad at this. Oh, man. Ultimatums. So there's this girl that this woman, I hate calling women black girls. Why do we say black girls and not black women? I don't know, whatever. It's this woman I follow. Her name is Kitty Rose. She talks about all this stuff. She talks about communication issues, the bad ways to communicate and all of that. And I remember she had said one thing that struck a nerve for me. And she said, stop threatening to leave your partner when you don't get your way, or when, even if it's something that kind of is a deal breaker for you, don't always jump to threatening to leave and not, because I know that's like a gray area for me, because it's like, I don't want to be, and I think this is almost a trauma response, because I feel like I grew up seeing staying no matter what.
Right.
And so that made me like, I'm leaving. And every possible sign of BS, I will not be here for that to trickle down to more BS. You ain't about to get me. I'm not about to be standing and dealing with you. I used to have an issue with men talking about, because I know my daughter's dad used to say this all the time. He's like, can you stay down? And I used to hate when he said that, because it's like, why can't you just step up so I don't have to be down? Like, why do I have to be down? I don't like this idea of me having to deal with all these bad things, and that's what makes you a good woman. So it's like a gray area there, where it's like, oh, you're a good woman if you deal with all the bad things that comes from being with a man. Recently, I feel like within these past few months, or I would say when we first started the podcast, right around the breakup that I had, I started realizing what stay down means. It doesn't mean that. I think it means persevering and working through problems.
Right.
It doesn't mean deal with the bad stuff. It means deal with it in a healthy way. Deal with it, but deal with it in a healthy way. Don't deal with it in a passive way where it's like, oh, well, he did it, make excuses for him or her. But as long as y'all can come to have these, communicate well and work through the issues, I think that's what staying down is. Staying down is not dealing with BS. It's just not leaving at the first sight of it.
Right.
And me learning just when I was studying communication and verbal abuse, ultimatums is a form of verbal abuse.
Yes. Because if you give me an ultimatum, I'm choosing the one you don't want.
And I think that's what eventually happened.
Because I'm petty like that, and it's just, and I know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And I'm intentionally going to be like, oh, if you either going to do this or you got to leave. I'll leave.
Right.
Not that I want to.
Right.
But you're not about to sit here and give me an ultimatum and be like.
Right. Because it's like, it's literally, what is it? First of all, it's manipulation, because it's like.
Right. Absolutely.
Can we look up the definition of manipulation? I feel like it's forcing a person to do something they don't want to do. It's like, it's coercion. Coercion. Am I saying that correctly? Because like, you're leveraging the fact that, like me, for instance, I did it all the time in my last relationship. It's probably part of the reason the relationship ended. Because it was so many times where I threatened to leave, actually left, whatever, the ultimatum thing. I was manipulating him. I was verbally abusing him. And I was leveraging the fact that I knew he didn't want to lose me. I was leveraging the fact that I was a good woman, you know what I'm saying? And I brought a lot of things to the table that he loved. And I leveraged that to like, I'm not giving you none of these benefits no more unless you give me this. And that is verbal abuse. And for me to know that's verbal abuse, that's a game changer for me. Because anytime, and that's the thing too, like I can be honest, anytime I gave him an ultimatum and I was leaving, I never wanted to really leave. I never really wanted to break up or nothing like that.
This is usually how
I
it
just
goes.
was using, like I said, I was leveraging the fact that I knew he didn't want to lose me. So I used that to get what I wanted out of him. But it wasn't effective because, after a while, and I think that's what the girl, Kitty Rose, I was getting to, she was saying, she was like, after a while, you're going to cause abandonment issues. You're going to cause this issue of, are you going to stay with me or are you going to leave? You know what I mean? Like, so now now you created an abandonment issue within your relationship because you keep abusing it. Abusing it with your ultimatums. So
I'm letting y'all know now.
I just think that's so dope because we'll talk about that like, oh, you shouldn't leave. You shouldn't talk about leaving and we shouldn't talk about breaking up. But to talk about it in a sense of it being verbal abuse, again, that was a big game changer for me because I am a stickler on abuse, and to know that I play any role in being an abuser is very important for me to realize.
I think, I'm gonna let y'all know now. You can't be with a man who knows you're manipulating him.
Yeah.
Especially when he calls it out and you keep doing it. I've been through that.
Yep, I kept doing it.
I've been through that. And I've learned that if you keep doing it, it's not going to end well.
Right. Or it's going to end, period.
Or
it's not.
Well, it's going to end. You can put the period right
end,
there.
Period. That's it. That's all.
It's going to end because he's going to get tired of the fact that you're trying to manipulate him, that you're abusing him.
For sure.
And the fact that you're manipulative like you the only thing out here.
Okay. Because that's how I was thinking.
And I know we like to
I
sit
thought I
here
was it.
and think people can't be replaced. You absolutely can. Because somebody's going to treat me better than what you treat me like right now.
And even if they don't, I'm willing to take that risk because I don't know if you're going to stick around. So what is the point of working hard to keep you if I don't know if you're going to be kept?
But my thing is this. I absolutely agree. You should work through the hard stuff.
Yeah.
You should persevere.
Yeah.
There comes a point, though, where
Right. That's the gray area for me.
There comes a point.
Talk about it. I already know what you're about to get at.
All right, we've been working at this for quite some time. And
are you ever going to come
And I'm
around?
not saying you should change in a specific time. This is not working out for me because you're still disrespectful, you're still manipulative, and I don't have to put up with this.
Right.
And the fact that all of a sudden now that I'm about to leave, you want to fix it now? I'm already checked out.
Yeah.
I don't want to come back.
Yeah.
I still care for you. I still love you.
Yeah.
But I love me too.
Yeah.
And I love you enough. I've said this before. I love me enough. Sometimes I gotta go.
Yeah. And it's crazy because we literally, like, when me and my ex, we're in real estate together, and when we did our first flip, we went to dinner and we kind of brought that up like on the way home, and we were talking about, I was talking about the ultimatum thing. I wasn't talking about it in the sense of verbal abuse, but I was talking about it in the sense of I was wrong for it. And I admitted, like, yeah, I was definitely wrong for continuing to break up with you or threaten to break up with you. But at the same time, I was just like, I struggled with this gray area of, am I going to deal with this forever? Or at what point do I say, I'm going to keep working or I'm going to give up? Like, I think that's what I've always been scared of.
And I think, and people take giving up as a bad thing. In some, if not most cases, it is.
Yeah.
But giving up and me leaving something that isn't healthy for me is two different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like,
I guess, but when you think about, so if we're thinking about like someone like me that's aware that I abused a relationship by threatening to leave, I was giving ultimatums knowing that wasn't my true intent or my true feelings, but at the same time I wasn't happy. How do we fix that? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do I make sure that I'm not continuously doing that? But at the same time, kind of making sure that I'm happy too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's very hard.
You have to be intentional about you. Before, don't even worry about him. Forget him right now. What are your intentions for yourself?
Yeah.
And I think we ignore that. It's like, well, especially it's really easy for passive people like me to ignore me.
Yeah.
And it's just like we get so focused on the other person and we just forget our own needs and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
And we are so trying to make this work
Yeah.
that we ignore all the red flags and we ignore all the things and be like, oh, I'm a patient dude. I can put up with this.
Yeah.
You're only going to be patient for so long.
Right.
And
So what is a breaking point like? I guess it feels differently for different people, but I guess for me, because I'm in introspection mode and I'm thinking like, okay, you're verbally abused when you do this, but I feel like I'm also dramatic. So it's like if I'm taking out the fact that I don't give ultimatums anymore, how do I protect myself from making sure that I'm happy at the same time? And I guess because it's like it's very hard to even think about because it's like you could. I remember so Michelle Obama was talking about that, like how she talked about. Did you see that interview? I only seen clips of it where she talked about how she was unhappy in her marriage with Barack for a very long time.
yeah.
And it's like, dang, like, is that what it takes? Or like, how do you know where it's like, this is a true breaking point or this is just like, you just need to, toughen up. You just need to listen, you can do this. You know what I'm saying?
I think starts.
I think it's hard.
Are you happy within yourself first? You need to have that conversation with you.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at your spouse, your partner, to make you happy, they're gonna fail every time.
Yeah.
There'll be moments of happiness with
that's
your
a good
partner.
point.
However, if you get to a place where you're that unhappy, it's because you forgot about you.
Yeah.
What makes you happy? What
Right.
outside of your partner?
Yeah.
What makes you happy? What gives you life? Because you was happy before they got there.
So you feel like that's kind of the missing piece to persevere in relationships
Yeah.
because if you're not happy within yourself, it's going to be very hard for your partner to make you happy. So that's going to make your breaking point seem very apparent when really you should have been working on yourself all through that whole time.
Yeah,
and then it's easier for you to persevere at that point because regardless, you're good.
You don't stop working on yourself because somebody else comes into the picture.
Yeah. And I think a lot of us,
and
we
a lot of us
that.
do. It's like I said, we ignore our own feelings because we want to take care of this person so much.
Yeah.
Because we love them so much. But how can I love you fully if I'm ignoring how I feel?
Right. And not only that, if I'm loving you to the point where I'm ignoring how I love myself, that doesn't mean that you're doing that.
Right.
So the reciprocation looks real bad at that point. And it's
And-
not even that the person's wrong for not reciprocating. You wasn't supposed to be doing all that in the first place.
And the
I
thing
think that was
is,
another thing that I had an issue with in my last
we
relationship.
have these unrealistic expectations
Mm-hmm.
because we haven't communicated these expectations.
Right.
That this person is supposed to reciprocate
Right.
what you're giving them. And it's like, no, they're doing what makes them happy.
Right.
And they check in with you every now and then.
Right.
You stopped making
Yourself
doing what,
happy.
Right. You stop doing the things that make you happy, that bring
Right.
you life, to focus all on this one person.
Right.
And that's just gonna end up in disaster anyway.
Yeah.
Like for me, I know you had dreams and goals in a life before you met me.
Yeah.
I still want you to pursue that.
Right.
Just know, just check in every now and then with me.
Yeah.
I don't need you linked up to me everywhere that I go.
Right.
Because at some point, I'm going to kick you off.
Right.
Because you're annoying at this point.
And at some point, like, it's time to address, like, are you an individual? Like, you know what I mean? When you
Right.
become in a relationship,
And you lose your
you
individuality.
lose your individuality.
Yeah.
So I think that's dope. That was some dope points that we had there about ultimatums because, like I said, that's a struggle. I don't know in my next relationship if that's not going to happen again or not. I feel like it probably will. Because I think I'm still dealing with the trauma of watching the opposite, basically. You know what I'm
and the
saying?
thing is, it's going to show up. However, you now have the tools
Yeah.
to make it work.
Yeah.
The thing is, you have to be aware of yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to continue to love yourself enough to be like, all right, I know what my breaking point is. For me, I didn't know what my breaking point was until I was in it. Because you can tear a person down so much till they don't want to come back anymore.
Yeah.
And they can try to jump back in all they want to. It's just not there anymore.
Yeah.
And you got to come to that realization.
Yeah.
And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the other person.
Yeah.
And you just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
And you got to move forward. But
I just pray that I'm not the person that trying to change so much and trying to make sure I'm the best version of myself so much that I realize my flaws to the point where I want them to completely disappear. But sometimes it's not just about making your flaws disappear. Sometimes it's just managing them to your advantage.
And your flaws make you who you are.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants a flawless person.
Right.
Like if that's you, you're living in a freaking other world that doesn't exist. But you have to be okay with your flaws before you try to get somebody else okay with yours.
Yeah.
And so I think flaws make us beautiful. Like, show me all the scars. Show me all the stuff that's jacked up about you.
Yeah.
I can love you through that.
Yeah.
However, I'm not about to be your personal punching bag either.
Yeah.
So let's deal with it. Let's deal with the stuff.
Yeah.
I'm your teammate. Let's deal with it.
Yeah.
But the moment you feel like you've made it,
right,
we got a problem.
So this next one is interesting. Silent treatment. That's a form of abuse. According to, I don't remember what I was researching. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. But silent treatment. Oh my God. When I say, I literally feel like I think I had seen some meme or a TikTok or something about that where they say the silent treatment is almost equivalent as a physical punch, like a physical attack. Is the pain from being ignored is almost the same as like being punched in the face. So, I mean, to me, that's kind of blatant abuse. I never really looked at it like abuse. And I've never been the silent treatment type either. I am a attack head on. I am an aggressive communicator, defensive, so I still have the abuse in there. But silent treatment wasn't one of them. I was one of the ones that probably need to not talk as much. I was the talker. So how do we feel about the silent treatment, Dave? Because I feel like you a silent treater.
Yeah, I am. That's one of my
You're
flaws.
An abuser.
That's one of my flaws. I am a silent treatment person. Only after I have said so many times how I feel. Like, because I hate repeating myself over and over and over, which I'm learning that in relationships, especially committed relationships, it's an ongoing process of repeating yourself.
Yeah.
However, I am not at that place right now.
I don't want to repeat myself ever.
I get to a place where if I give you the silent treatment, it's for a reason.
Yeah.
I'm not just doing it just because. Also, I'm not that much of a talker.
Yeah.
At all. I'm much more of a listener. So, as y'all can see on this podcast, Nels is the talker. I am the listener.
And I am not a good listener, apparently.
And I just respond when needed.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
That was abuse.
That was funny. That was hilarious.
That's great. I can't believe you said it.
That's great.
What was you even thinking?
That's great. I was thinking we've already been through this before because I didn't press record.
Oh, that's great.
That's great.
I really don't like you. Oh
so
my God.
stupid. So dumb. I don't know. I don't know where that came from.
What came from? Silent treatment?
The silent
Oh,
treatment.
okay.
thing.
Are we reeling back in?
No.
You don't know where it came from? I thought you said it came from not being understood or not being.
Yeah, there you go. Not being understood, not being afraid of saying the wrong thing, or me saying what I have to say and it being used against me. And so
Yeah.
if that happens, I'll give the silent treatment. It's like, what am I saying this for? Because I've already said it quite a few times.
Yeah.
And you're still hurting me. So at this point, I just feel like I'm knocking on a brick wall at this point.
Yeah.
And nothing's getting through. So usually that's where I go, and it takes a lot for me to come out of that.
Yeah. So I guess that's a little bit of insight for me because I'm the opposite, but I've dealt with like that a lot. Me being an extrovert, I date introverts. So the silent treatment is definitely going to happen, especially with me being an aggressor, and I'm going to trigger that silent treatment immediately.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like the worst thing you could ever do to me is ignore me. Like that hurts so bad. Like let's talk. Obviously, I have to take accountability for bringing it out of you and things like that. But I can definitely see like that's not one of those things like ultimatum and gaslight manipulation. Like silent treatment was not one of those things that I needed. I'm like surprised that that's abuse. Like I feel that abuse when that happens to me. Like it hurts so bad for somebody to just like ignore you for days and days and days and days. And you guys never reconciled anything. You guys never came to an agreement. You don't even know where you stand with this person. And it eats you up. It eats you up.
It's
so
unfair
much.
to that person to leave them in the dark.
Yeah.
And I've done that. And I've come to the realization it's wrong. Because I wouldn't want nobody to do that to me.
Yeah.
I'm having a realization moment, and I'm going to do this. No, I'm going to do it on camera because I don't care. I did that to you
You have.
recently. I did that to you. And I want to apologize.
It's okay.
No, it's not okay.
No, when I say it's okay, I mean like it really is. You know, you're a human.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your apology and your acknowledgement.
However, I have my reasons.
Absolutely.
It wasn't like giving you the silent treatment. Now, the full details we ain't talking about on camera. But I did do that to you. And publicly, I will, even though this was a private thing.
Yeah.
Publicly, I will apologize because
It's an accountability show.
I didn't know how you felt about the silent treatment. Even though that wasn't my intention, that's what it came across as.
Yeah, of course.
And so it was never, I never wanted to just disappear. That was never the case.
Yeah.
Because I do care about you.
Yeah.
And I care about your feelings and things like that. And so, yeah, I want to apologize for that. It literally just hit me like, I did that to her. And that's not right. And hearing you now talk about how detrimental that is to you, how much that hurts you. Internally right now, I'm like, dang, I messed up. Like, probably going to feel this for the next few days. But it's okay. However, it wasn't right. And I just owe you that apology.
I appreciate it. I didn't ever communicate that to you either, you know, how I felt about it. Because I feel like I make a lot of things about myself. Even if my feelings are valid, sometimes I feel like expressing them is still making things about me. Sometimes somebody can be going through something or, you know, you never know what it is. And I am the type of person where I'm just going to assume like, you're ignoring me or you're not, you know, attentive to me or you're not this and you're not that. But some people just need, even if it's wrong because of how it's perceived, how I perceive it or whatever, I never wanted to make how you feel or what your world and what you're going through about me. You know what I'm saying? So I guess, you know, I appreciate your apology, but because I never communicated anything, you know, I wouldn't say you did anything wrong. I think you were just being you, and you wasn't aware of what being you was doing to me.
Yeah.
And so now you're aware of that, which is great, which is why, you know, you're apologizing, which I appreciate. But I guess, you know, that goes back to communication, being honest about how you feel about something. And, you know, that could have been a conversation we had.
Yeah.
And it could have been in a regular tone, regular way. It wasn't the hugest deal. But yeah.
And
yeah.
you know, we're kind of, I'm weak in my head because we're doing this on camera, but
Yeah.
whatever. You know that with us, it's more than just this podcast.
Yeah.
And my intentions are to never make you wonder, never make you hurt, things like that, even though I am a very flawed man.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, it's going to happen whether I want it to or not. But I want you to know that you're all right over there.
You need some water,
You need some water?
We don't have any cold ones, but they're behind you, baby. Oh, I thought you said I thought you said you need some water, meaning you don't have any.
I'm weak.
All right.
But yeah, I want to acknowledge that.
But you know what it does for me though, that first of all, it makes me proud of me to even say this, but
Makes me proud of you too.
I love the opportunity that things like that brings to work on me.
Yeah.
Just because I feel a way about the silent treatment doesn't mean that every behavior after how I feel is okay.
Yeah.
So for me, that's part of my issue. I can have valid feelings all day, but the actions that I use, the things that I do, my behavior after my feelings, that can completely just invalidate or cause a whole new issue. So I feel like that's a part of what I'm working on with myself. So if I'm going to experience being let down. It's about the behavior that comes behind that is what determines your character and who you are. And you're not even going to know what your character is unless you're dealing with it or you come across that. So I appreciate the opportunity for me to be hurt and handle it in a healthy way. Handle it internally. Don't try to make someone feel bad about how they made you feel. You know, sometimes, and that's another thing. Like, I don't know why the silent treatment hurts me that much. Is it really someone else's fault? I don't know. That's something that I got to dig deeper and find out.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even say it's definitely not the other person's fault, especially if I haven't communicated it. But is it really valid for me to feel so hurt to the point where I got to make sure this person knows I'm so hurt from the silent treatment? Or is it something that I can internally deal with myself? So it's
and
just,
I want to do this. I want to say this too.
yeah.
I give you permission to knock on the door and be like, hey,
I'm hurt.
it's me.
Yeah.
Like, you have no reason to run because you haven't given me one.
Mm-hmm.
I give you permission to be like, hey, you've gone quiet.
Yeah.
Are we okay? What's going on? Tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
And because I'm not the type to just open and be like, this is what's going on.
Right.
For
I know.
clear reasons.
Trust me.
But if you ask, I'll tell you.
Yeah, for sure.
And
which I know.
what
Which is
I
usually
need-
when I do. I feel like I did ask eventually. I let it go for a while, and then I think I talked about it with you. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, did you have anything else to say about that?
Nope.
Appreciate you
I appreciate you.
in all ways. The apology, but also the being you, and for some reason being you helps my development, and I just think that's the best part about our friendship. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like you being you, me knowing you, and your intentions is pure. Your intentions is not to harm me. So me knowing that you've already shown that's makes it way easier for me to reevaluate any and all actions that's hurtful to me, and it's going to keep me from reacting in a toxic way or in a negative way. So, woo, love it, love you.
Love
The
you.
next one is love bombing. What did I say about this? Using love to get something out of a person. Okay, so
That's interesting.
it is interesting. Let me see if I can look up a different definition, because before I get into it, I was thinking love bombing was more so practice lavishing with someone attention. Yeah, so it's almost like it's fake. That's how I'm looking at it. Love bombing is not like real love. It's kind of like you're using actions and behavior to make it feel like it's real love,
Right.
just to get something out of them, just to get them to have sex with you, or get them to buy you something, or get them to just be in this bubble that you want them in, a sense of control.
It's manipulation.
Manipulation.
And if it's manipulation, it ain't love. I'm sorry.
I don't know if I've ever been love bombed before. I feel like I've experienced fake love before, where it was like, I don't think you really feel this way. I think you're just trying to get something from me. I think you just, and I feel like women go through that all the time. I mean, men that just want sex, they'll make it seem like they want a relationship,
or they just
really
need
don't.
a place to live.
Right, they rubbing on you a little too much, and they ain't got no address. Okay,
Right.
red flag.
I think also too, some people use love as a scapegoat. And
What do you mean a scapegoat?
like
I mean, I know what a scapegoat is, but I'm trying to figure out how love
like
can
you're
be
trying
used as
to you're using love as a reason to run. Meaning like, I love you, but I just can't stay. Like, it's real dramatic. Like, but it's like I said, at the root of all this is fear.
Yeah.
So it's like you're using love to either get something, or you're using love to get out of something.
Do you think have you been love bombed before, and did you fall for it? Did you notice it?
Yeah, probably. Maybe once.
I think it's very easy for men to be love bombed. Because I think that the typical thing is like, men want sex.
Because we
and
stupid.
Women go through it.
We stupid.
When it comes to women, y'all are so dumb.
We
y'all
are
dumb as a box of rocks.
Oh, we so dumb.
I remember I had got into a whole debate with this guy because he just felt like, well, I gotta be harder on my daughter because she's easily manipulated. She's a girl, she go to a mechanic shop, they're gonna take advantage. Do you know how easy it is to manipulate a man as a woman?
Because we don't think with our brains, we think with our
like what? How many men do
our other body part?
I know probably more than 3 men that died because they were manipulated by a woman.
Yeah.
They literally died. They literally put
really,
themselves in danger.
It's really easy
because of
for
this woman.
us
Really
to be
easy.
manipulated by women.
Really easy.
Especially
I'm like,
if we're attracted.
Be harder on your daughter. Be harder on your son.
Especially if we're really attracted to this woman.
Yes.
She can throw up all the red flags, all of them, and we'd be
Yes.
like, nope, I'm still in love with her.
But
That's
see-
still my girl.
But I feel like that's a form of abuse, 100%. But I feel like it could also be a good thing if a woman is able to get something out of her man by being womanly.
Yeah,
I think that's beautiful
it's
at the same
based
time.
but it's based on the intention, though. Like, what are your intentions?
Is your intentions pure? Is your intention for me
Right.
and you, or is it just for you? Is it just for your
Right.
benefit?
If you're trying to get something out of it, depending on what it is, I guess.
Right.
But if you're just trying to manipulate this man to pay all your bills
Yeah.
and take care of your kids, and
Right.
you don't really like this dude for
Yeah.
real, you're wrong.
Right.
But if you are trying to, get something out of him, like get information out of him because you want to do something nice for him or things
Right.
like that, then I get that. But it's like,
Or it's not even that. It just goes back to communication. Like, I feel like a lot of women, we don't get what we want from men. And I feel like part of it is because of who we're choosing to fellowship with and be in relationships with. But I also feel like it's our lack of not even knowing how to handle men, not even knowing how to talk to men, not even knowing how to get things out of men. Our behavior should, I feel like our behavior should kind of influence what a man does. It should. If it can do it in a bad way, you should be able to do it in a good way too. Like even if you have, like if you having an argument or something. Like I remember this one girl, I think I reposted it the other day. She talked about how her man just spazzed out on her. And she looked at him and said, listen, I want this to work. She said it in a calm tone. She touched his ear. She touched his face. Listen, let's talk. She held his hand. Let's sit down. Let's talk. Calmed him down. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's kind of a manipulating thing, but it works, and it could work in an effective way.
Because your approach, it's not even the manipulative. It's if you know this is how he best communicates, then your approach is right. If you're calm and you're approaching him in a calm way and you know he best communicates when things are calm, I don't think that's manipulation. I think you're just approaching it in a healthy manner.
I think it's manipulation because they're using the definition of manipulation is hard because they're using manipulation in the influence. That's what I feel like manipulation is influence, control of another, usually in a manner that facilitates one's personal aims. But just think about it like this. Your spouse or partner is coming to you aggressively. They're in their feelings. They're being aggressive. That's what they want at that point. That's what they want for themselves. They want to be aggressive. They want to lash out. They feel good about that. But then you manipulate them to calm down, chill out, be at peace. And I feel like that's manipulation because your personal aim is to get them to calm down, and you do it. You're able to do it. And I think a lot of women, we downplay our ability to do that with men. And we fight fire with fire instead of saying, let him be aggressive, but you be a woman. You be at peace. You be his peace. Being his peace, I feel like, has a lot to do with being able to put him at peace. It's not just being his peace and put him at peace. You only put him at peace. You're not really doing it that intentionally. You're just being a woman, and that's what's bringing him peace, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, the whole aggressive example, I feel like women, and I may get some backlash for this, but I feel like men are more naturally aggressive and women are more naturally not.
Yeah, maybe.
I feel like more so in modern times, maybe not, but I feel like men, you're the provider, you're the protector. You have to have some type of aggression.
Oh yeah.
Women, that's not really our nature for real. I think that became our nature because we independent and we have to raise our kids on our own, and now we grown to be this aggressive, and we got to think we're learning from our parents, and we're creating this lifestyle of being aggressive and things like that. But I don't believe that aggression is in a woman's nature.
Right.
And so I feel like there's a reason for that. If you got this lion, being a protector in the jungle, but then he comes home to not that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's going to manipulate him, but it's manipulating him in a good way. It's giving him what he needs. And I think a lot of women, like I said, we downplay our ability to do that, our ability to be a woman, and how that does enough to keep a man, however you want him to be.
Yeah.
So I got two more of the verbal abuse, and then talk a little bit about emotional intelligence, and we could kind of be done. Victim playing. I think we kind of talked about that already a little bit. I feel like that's kind of like gaslighting in a way. It's like, because I feel like if you're playing victim, you're not looking at the reality. You're not looking at the evidence. You're just stuck in your way, stuck in what you're doing. So yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about I feel like victim playing is literally you don't care about how the other person feel. You just care about how you feel. So I feel like that goes back to narcissism and
because
gaslighting.
you live in a fence. So you rather it's always everybody else except you. Like if I was about to give an example, but I'm not. It's like if I approach you about the same thing over and over, and you're like, but you keep coming up with excuse after excuse, or if I tell you how I feel about something that you did to me, and then you all of a sudden get sad and depressed, and you go into this rabbit hole of how you're just not a good person, and you sabotage yourself, and then it becomes a thing of now we're not even focused on my feelings. Now I got to get you out of this rabbit hole,
right?
So we can get to what I'm talking about. That's you playing the victim.
Absolutely.
Because it's no longer even about my feelings
It's not
anymore.
about your feelings anymore.
Now it's about how I got to get you.
Now it's about how my feelings affect you.
Right.
And now we got to talk about how my feelings affect you. And then we never even get back to how I felt about anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's abuse. That's abuse. Oh, crazy. Crazy. Because you may think it's like, oh, I'm just trying to make sure that we get all the feelings out. But you don't know that you're just completely downplaying how they feel the whole time. Triangulation is the last. I'm sure there's many others, but these are the ones that stuck out to me. I hate the triangulation. Triangulation means if somebody, like, say you like this happened at just my friend's birthday at the hookah bar. You get somebody to confirm your feelings, you just automatically think it's right. So triangulation is third-party confirmation, meaning say it was a third person on this podcast right now. Me and you disagree. That person agreed with one of us. Oh, so see, that means it's right. No, it don't. That's manipulation. That is abuse.
That's confirmation bias.
For sure. And I think we all do it to an extent. Like, I think we just feel good about.
You feel better
agreeing.
when you ain't the only one.
Right, but it's like you and them can both be wrong. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So I put in here, a lot of us are verbal abusers, because we are. I think that's the point of me going through the verbal abuse and talking about the definitions and giving examples, because we all do all of this. And it's all a part of being a healthy communicator, is knowing when you are an abuser, and knowing how to kind of get out of being an abuser. Obviously, you have to be aware of yourself. You have to be aware of your triggers. You have to be aware of your trauma. But I feel like you also have to be emotionally intelligent. And that's why I kind of want to go into, I don't want to get too deep into it, because I know we probably going on and on time here. But emotional intelligence is literally just, to me, like this, I research stuff and then I come up with my own definition. I feel like emotional intelligence is your choices that are exclusive to your feelings. So basically, your emotional intelligence is your ability to choose no matter how you feel about something. Yeah. And think about it. When it comes to being a verbal abuser and bad communication, what are you doing? The opposite.
Right.
Everything is about your feelings. When you learn to manage your emotions to the point where you make decisions that has nothing to do with them, that's emotionally intelligent. And that's where you're able to be assertive. And that's where you're not passive aggressive, because you know how you feel and you know how to communicate it, and you know that what behaviors is good behavior versus not good behaviors, and you're able to think logically where you're not in your feelings all the time.
Right.
That's going to take away from victim playing. That's going to keep you from gaslighting. That's going to keep you from doing a lot of things, because now you're all about logic. You're not all about emotion. You're not emotionally driven. So that's why I wanted to talk about emotional intelligence, because we could talk about verbal abuse all day, but how do you fix that? And I feel like learning how to manage your emotions, obviously that comes after getting to know the fact that you have bad emotions. You have to get to know yourself first. But I think after getting to know yourself, now let's manage it. Now let's manage, we was talking about me being stressed. I feel like it's never going to be a point where I'm not stressed. But now I journal. Now I do things to manage my feelings so that I'm not spazzing on people.
Yes.
So in the book I was reading, it was talking about mental toughness and anger management. So that's kind of an aspect of emotional intelligence, being mentally tough, being able to take on, feelings without reacting badly, basically.
Right.
Being able to take bad feelings without acting badly. Same with anger management, being able to manage your anger. You're angry, but you're not going to punch somebody. You know what I'm saying? All of this, I feel like, ties into being a good communicator.
Oh, it does.
Do you have anything to
It
say about
does.
those
I mean,
things?
emotional intelligence is just being self-aware. Like,
Yes. Really.
yes,
That's really all it
yes,
is.
I'm angry. However, I'm not going to let my anger cause me to go there.
Right.
That's what that is. You just, like, for me, the reason I don't allow myself, it takes a lot for me to get pissed off. Like,
Yeah.
it's only, I can count on one hand how many times I've been so upset. All I saw was red.
Yeah.
I don't let people take me there because I know how I am when I get there.
Yeah.
If I do get there, I don't care about nobody's feelings. I don't care who's around. I see red, and if you in the way, you gon' not
You gonna get
physically,
hit.
but verbally. Most people think because I'm calm and I'm chill, I don't say much, that I won't check you
Right.
and that I won't cuss you out, because I will.
Right.
However, I know how I am when I get to that point,
Yeah.
so I don't let myself get there despite what you did.
Yeah. So do you feel like you're mentally tough?
Yeah.
I think I'm getting there. I don't think I'm there yet, though.
I've been through enough to where I had to be, to where it's like the car thing with my car. I wasn't tripping. I was like, it'll work.
See me, I'm like, ah.
Like it'll get figured out. Like it is what it. There's other solutions. There's
Yeah.
Uber. There's whatever. If
Yeah.
I need to pay for it,
Yeah.
I'm always going to make money. If they keep making, they're going to keep making money. So I'm going to keep making money.
Right.
You
For
know?
sure.
So, or like another situation right now, you know, I just left one of my the job that I had, full-time entrepreneur now.
Whoop, whoop.
However, that also means the income ain't the same right
Yeah.
now. So it's like, I could be stressed about that. I
Yeah.
could, but it's like, I'm a solutionist. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not, I could sit here and be like, oh,
And you
I
believe
don't
in
know what
yourself.
to do. Right, that part. However, I know I'm built a different way. I'm built different.
Yeah.
My mental is what keeps me going.
Yeah.
And some people will try to talk you down to where they are. You can't do that with me.
Yeah.
You got to level up at the end of the day.
For sure.
Like if you're not, I am a man who moves in faith.
Yeah.
So if something goes wrong, we'll have an emotional moment for about 2 to 3 minutes. After that,
It's go time.
it's go time.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out.
Right. For sure. So I have like just a list of things, but I think we touched on it a lot with mental toughness and anger management. One thing I just want to point out about mental toughness, anger management, because a lot of things I wrote down we've kind of already discussed, is that it takes intention. I feel like to be mentally tough. I feel like people may hear this conversation and this message and think, okay, when it comes down to it, I'm going to try to not act on my emotions, or I'm going to try to not be emotionally driven, let my behavior be emotionally driven. But I think, with the book I was reading, that's what he talked about. He talked about emotional intelligence being intentional in other aspects of your life. You build mental toughness by doing certain things, by going to the gym, by creating challenges in your life, creating, I wouldn't say creating obstacles, but creating goals that kind of brings obstacles and overcoming those obstacles. So you're not going to be mentally tough if you're not purpose driven, if you're not trying to get something done, if you're not setting goals and achieving them, if you're not trying to live a healthy lifestyle, if you're not trying to get to know yourself, if you're not intentional about identifying issues, all of those things, I don't feel like you're going to be able to be mentally tough. It's going to take practice in other aspects of your life for you to even be able to experience it, or not even experience it, but act on it in relationships and in, communicating and all of those things. So I feel like that's important to bring up, because mental toughness isn't just about, oh, when I have the conversation, I'm gonna try not to be emotional. No, it's a everyday thing. It's a lifestyle to be mentally tough. So I think that was my biggest point with mental toughness and anger management. It's intentional in all aspects of your life, and I think that's how it becomes this way you're able to do it in relationships and in communicating, because you are already that person. You have already fed into being mentally tough without relationships. So when you get in a relationship, that's where it comes out and you're able to do it.
Right.
But I don't feel like you have to wait on getting into relationships and getting into these arguments to be intentional about being mental tough. You can be intentional about being mentally tough by simply setting a goal to lose weight, setting a goal to be fit, setting a goal to, in your career, setting a goal to whatever. All of that is going to build mental toughness. If you really are driven to do it, you're going to have things that you have to overcome. You're going to have to not be able to act on your emotions.
True.
So, yeah. I think we can save love languages for a different episode.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know communication was gonna get that deep. Like, I should have known, but I didn't know. I have here, don't judge your emotions. I don't know what I meant by that. Maybe don't stigmatize yourself from being emotional. It's okay.
Don't trap yourself.
It's just about management.
There's nothing wrong with being emotional. Nothing wrong with it.
It's just the management that's the issue, I think, and the behavior.
Yes, the only issue is what you allow your emotions to let
influence.
You do. Yeah. That's the only thing. For sure. But it's okay to be emotional.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Great conversation.
That was so great. I love that.
Great conversation. We usually do this next segment. It's called Did That Really Happen? Your boy's been busy.
We don't have
and I don't have
social
one.
Media posts.
I've been getting ready for this private screening premiere tonight. Which will be Saturday when y'all see this. This past Saturday when y'all see this. So yeah, been getting prepared for that. Been editing. I've been busy, but things are starting to slow down, which is great because I can really focus on building this thing like I want to. Which means I'm saying no to a lot of things, which means I'm also going to be home more often too. So just be on the lookout for more stuff.
Absolutely.
We're going to work on Jazzy's YouTube channel.
At some point.
We got new shows coming. All the things. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. We know, but for real, we out.
We out.
Nah, but for real, tell me how I feel. We on that fire, tell me what's the deal. Nah, but for real, tell me how I feel.